welcome to DM Talk. I'm Henry Knight with Playerole. Tonight we have a free-for-all topic. We could talk about anything, talk about what you want in the comics, just anything that comes to mind. But just before that, I want to mention tomorrow we have a big game, another big game, episode 5 of the live campaign. It's called Drow City. The name in the title just tells you what type of game it'll be. Well, I'm not going to give any spoilers. Just be aware that it's going to be a pretty intense game. Join us tomorrow at 8 p.m. Central, only here on Playerole. We're going to have a great time. I have a good group of players. They love D&D, they love fantasy, and we're going to have one hell of a time. Now, but tonight, let's talk about anything. What's going on, streaming world? What's going on with y'all? There's a lot happening in the community right now with Dungeons and Dragons. There is a lot happening, and I'm sure that we all could talk about the player's manual. We could talk about the upcoming DM's Guide, Monster Manual, and how all that crazy stuff. But to give the company a little bit of respect, and I know that a lot of the community is going to get mad, but you know, they are a company and they have to make money, and we don't like it, but they do. It's just the way it is. It's been like that for a long time. Not in the community. I mean, things have changed, but it's owned by a corporation, and the corporation is going to go ahead and do what it does. So that being said, you all have to understand that, you know, those are changes that we all have to accept, but we don't have to. We could turn around and go somewhere else. We could turn around and play OSRs and play other games. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm for that. I'm for playing a whole bunch of other games. Do I love Dungeons and Dragons? Hell yeah. But the big topic is all these big games that they have out. The big topic is let's look at the prices of the books. Let's look at the digital format. Is that good for you? Is that good for me? I mean, those are things that you're gonna have to look at yourself. Is it too expensive? There's other ways to do it. You don't have to go completely digital. You don't have to do that. You can go ahead and pen and paper. Nothing wrong with that. Let's talk about pen and paper. Can you make your character as fast as digital? Nope. Nope, can't do it. Let's have a race. Let's see who the fast one is. Let's see if the person that is doing pen and paper can be as fast as the person on digital. Everything is a drop-down menu. Boom, boom, boom. There you go. Now, is it fun? No. Look, I enjoy making characters, and I do digital. We all do. Anybody who says no, okay, I understand. I get it. I'm an old-time gamer. I love pen and paper. I love rolling physical dice. I love hearing the tick, 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 and the clanking of the dice on the table or whatever board you have. So why not use digital? What's so good about digital? That's a great topic. Yeah, as much as we want to talk about, oh, what's bad about, you know, Dungeons and Dragons, what's good about this game, yada, yada, yada. Let's talk about digital versus, you know, live game. The best thing about digital is this. Number one, if you can have a group, right, and the group is far away, if you're watching digital, if you're having a camera, you're in a camera, you're on Roll20 or do whatever, and you could go ahead and simply connect, that's the best way to do it. You want to connect, do digital. Connect with a bunch of people from around the world, and the live Facebook was terminated. Yay, Facebook. So I'm not worried about it at all. It's just what happens. They don't like me too much sometimes. But either way, so you connect, and that's the main thing. Connection is the main thing. You have a bunch of people from around the world. You connect the game. You play the game, your digital dice, and do it. There's nothing wrong with that. Let's look at my levels right here. Connection-wise, I don't want to lose any of you. Computer, everything looks good. Again, it wasn't me. It was probably someone else, not me. Okay, so we're good. Here we're back. So I was saying digital versus live feeds. Live. What is the best thing about digital? Around the world, you can meet somebody from Australia, UK, anywhere, Brazil, wherever. You could play a game, and it could be Dungeons and Dragons. It could be anything, and you could play your game around the world, digitally, on camera. You could play Roll20. There's so many virtual reality games. Virtual reality VTTs that you could use, which is great. Now, the bad thing about virtual connection, you lose connection. Like, look, I lost Facebook right now. So instead of streaming the usual 4 I usually do, I'm on 3, but it was my fault. It's on their fault, on their side. My connection here is great. My numbers here are great. That's Facebook's fault. Don't worry, but I'll upload it. Number 2, what is good? What is bad about digital? I said connection, number 1. Number 2, audio. Sometimes, again, it's part of connection. Sometimes the audio is not going to be good, and a lot of people to do Discord, and they use Roll20 or some other form of VTT. Discord is fantastic. I've never had a problem with Discord. But that's why people use it, for audio. Sometimes they use it for video too. Either way, the main problem with VTTs is your connection. If one of your players in the group doesn't have a good feed, or maybe they don't have a good computer, maybe they don't have certain things that you need to utilize to have a good game. Because if you look at games in general, virtually the map's there, your token is there, your character's face, and that's all great. You could utilize maps, then the fly, everything is speed with VTT, virtual tabletop. But there's nothing better than having a group around you that is live. I love doing that. I love playing with a live group. Being live is probably one of the best experiences ever, especially with players, people around you. You have your friends, your family, you go to a con, you play live. That is a lot of fun, a lot of enjoyment. Now, what can be the problem with playing with live? There are problems. If you play in a con, you may not know people. They may not like your style as a DM. Well, let them know. As a DM, you sit down and you tell people, look, this is who I am. I have to pitch me to you. Once you do that, you'll get over that threshold. But until you do that, there's going to be a problem. But versus VTT live, to me, in my opinion, is much better. You have that camaraderie, you have that connection, and so forth. Now, as I said in the beginning about digital books. Digital books are great. You could open them up on the fly in there. But there's nothing better than holding a real book and flipping the pages over and putting a bookmark. Nothing better than that. Again, I'm not complaining about the digital. I'm saying that there's nothing better than that. Now, when in fact you have a corporation that says, hey, you have to buy a book and the digital is separate, not good. Folks may not have the money to do that. So they go and play in other forms. You have the feature the D&D Beyond has where you have the share, where the DM shares, if he has all the books with everybody else. That's a great feature to have. You have that the players and everybody has access to those books and they can play and have a good time. To me, that's fair and that's great. Digitally. The number two thing you have to realize too is when you're playing digital, if one person doesn't have the book and on Beyond, if that person who shares, everybody gets that knowledge. It's great. But the problem with all that, and a lot of the main company, Hasbro, is going to turn around and they're going to say, well, we don't like that because we got to make more money off of it. Well, guess what? It is what it is. And we as consumers and as players, as DMs, we find another way. And what the way is, you play an OSR, you play another avenue, another role-playing game, another game, another fantasy setting, another fantasy game. You are entitled to go and visit these other avenues of role-playing. That's just it. It's that easy. It's not hard. Now, what does that mean with the overall topic about digital and play and live play? It means a lot because they're all Dungeons and Dragons, role-playing, it's all under one umbrella. And everybody has to realize that no matter what we like or don't like, it's all up to us. You and I. Correct, right? If we don't like something, we move on. So that's just it. If we're watching a video or watching a movie or we don't like it, we don't watch it. People complain about it. They say, oh, well, no. Well, I don't like it. I don't want to watch it. I don't want to read it. I don't want to play with it. I don't want to play that game. I don't want to read anything about it. It sucks. The new 2024 Player's Manual sucks. How do you know? Do you have it? Did you buy it? Did you read it? Oh, they made all these changes. They did, didn't they? And if you're unhappy with it, then don't buy it. That's just the way it is. We're consumers. We can buy or don't buy. We could see what we want and do what we don't want as consumers. Because that's what we do. We buy or we don't buy. The problem is with role-playing in general is a community. We're like brothers and sisters, and we are tight. We complain and we do what we do, and we do it together, and that's the reason why we're here. We're all gamers. We're under one role-playing umbrella, no matter what it is, and if we don't like it, we're going to say it, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong to say, hey, I don't like this fucking game. That's just it. If you don't like it, go and play an OSR. Simple. Everybody complains about Hasbro and WotC. They complain about the changes they're making and so forth. And I understand the changes. Yeah, they're bad. But some may like it. There's people I know that like it. There's people that I know that don't like it. There's people that I know that hate it. But you know what? That's people. They're going to like and don't like. And that's it. Whether you buy into it or not. If you don't like a movie, it's horrible. Within the 5 minutes of the movie, you just cannot stand it. It's just horrible. It started bad. You don't like it. What are you going to do? You're going to stay there for the rest of the movie to just complain about it and terrorize you? When you're watching Sharknado, are you going to sit in that theater or watch that movie and watch the whole film completely? If you don't like it, stop it and leave it. Just stop it. Don't watch it. It's plain and simple. Same thing goes for role playing. If you don't like the system, then don't play the system. If you don't like Dungeons and Dragons 2024, then don't play the system. That's it. If you don't like VTTs, then don't play digital. There's nothing wrong with paper and pen. Oh, but I need to make a copy of the character sheet. Sure, you can do it. Make a copy of the character sheet and play live. I love playing live, but I still use the digital format. I like both. I use both. They're tools. They may intensify the game. To me, I find nothing wrong with that. So for those of you that are afraid that Hasbro is going to make all these changes and they're going to go ahead and make it for the worse, and people are not going to be able to afford it, the books or whatnot, there's other ways around that. There are. You know how you do it? Pen and paper. You could play an OSR. Oh wait, I can't afford the new Dungeons and Dragons 2024. The new player's manual. I can't afford the monster manual. I have 5e. I have the 2014 version, but I can't afford the 2024 because all these books are coming out, the new books, and I already have a monster manual. They're going to do another one. I got 2 monster manuals, and they're going to do another one for a new version of the game. But I want to play that version, but I can't play it because it's too expensive. Because they kick they raise their prices. So what do? You know what you do? You don't play. You play a 2014 version. Right here in your mind. It's your story. Why do you got to go, well, I want to play what's in the 2024. I want to play that design. Don't play that design. You want a different design? Then play an OSR. Play Morkborg, which is the incorrect pronunciation. I have to go online to check it out, and it's said completely different. It's wild. But anyways, go and play an OSR. Which is fantasy. It's the same thing. It's fantasy. It's under the role-playing umbrella. Everything is under that umbrella. Then play it. So what are you doing? What are you doing? You're just sitting here. You're waiting. You're waiting for everything to happen. Then what? Don't wait, do. Change. I can't afford those books, they're too expensive. Play something else. But I want to play fantasy. Do you know how many fantasy games there are out there? And they're affordable. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's why you're a consumer. That's why, you're not saying anything bad about Dungeons and Dragons. You can. It's our right as, freedom of speech. Them fuckers, you can say what you want. It doesn't matter. It's going to be what it is. And you are a consumer, and you have the right to do and say what you want. You can go ahead and purchase another book, but it won't be that one. Now, is that right or wrong? That is completely right. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, what does that have to do with the role-playing live and digital? It has to do with everything. Because if they raise their prices on D&D Beyond, then it will become unaffordable. And they're going to lose a lot of players. They're going to lose a lot of consumers. And then what? Then everybody's going to come back to pen and paper, or they can still go on Roll20, go on Discord and do their thing and play the 2014 version of 5e. Nothing wrong with that. Now, as a fan, a DM, as a player and a DM, I want to tell you it's exceedingly difficult to go and purchase all these books and then say, oh, wait, I have to purchase another monster manual. Hey, me and my friend were talking about this. Let me tell you, you can say what you want, and all these books to get different creatures from one monster manual to another, it's crazy. It's why you create. I love doing homebrew, making homebrew creatures. Create your own creature out of your mind and go from there. If you don't have all three monster manuals and you got the other two, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with using that creature from one of the books and changing them up and then making your own creature. There's nothing wrong with that. I think the problem is that people get upset because, and I'm talking about both. I'm talking about the corporation and I'm talking about consumers. I'm talking on both sides. I'm trying to see both sides. As a consumer, you want to say, well, I have the monster manual, I have the player's manual, I have the DM's guide, I've got 6 other books, source books, but I don't want to buy the monster manual, the player's manual for another version of the same type of game. But they changed here and there, tweak this and that, and people are upset about it, so now I got to buy more. So what do I do as a consumer? What do you do as a consumer? So you sit here and you buy more and more, and if you can't afford it, my advice to you is stick with the 2014 version and play it. Fantasy. Wow. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. And if you want to go into buying the 2024 version of the Player's Manual, DM's Guide, Monster Manual, you can. I'm not saying not to. You can. It's totally cool for you too. Now, if you don't like the changes, then don't buy it. Don't buy it and stick with the 2014. But don't complain about it. No. If you're not going to buy it, if you don't like it, then don't complain about it. Well, I don't like what they're doing in their changes. WotC Hasbro. I don't like the changes that they're making. So guess what? You stop. Stop where you're at. And don't buy the books. But if you're a fan and you want to buy the books, then buy the books. I'm a fan. Yeah. Those are the things you have to do as a consumer, is you're going to have to make a choice and say, well, I kind of like this, but I don't like it. I don't understand how this works, but I do understand how that works. What do I mean by that? Well, if you know that you can't afford those books, then stick with the 2014 D&D on digital and have fun with that. Play OSRs and then play other games. Nothing wrong with that. That have fantasy settings. Because if you don't, you're going to make yourself miserable, and then you're not going to have fun. Then your friends are not going to have fun because you're a DM and you want to DM a game and you can't because you can't afford those books. So what do? You stick with the 24 version. In my game, I have my own world, my own NPCs. There you go. I no longer make homebrew items on Beyond. I want to. It's fun to do. I'm just addicted. I like making them. It's great. But sometimes I want to do my own thing under the guise of my game, in my world, in my realm. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think the problem is that people are holding back because they say, oh, well, I can't do this because the system doesn't allow me to. Yes, you can. There's ways around that. That's all you have to do is stop the press and do it. Stop bitching and play the game and have fun. That's what it's about. That's why the community is so tight. Like I said, brothers and sisters in arms. That's who we are. We're a bunch of geeks who play the game and we have a great time doing it. The problem is everybody complains, oh, it's a corporation's fault. Is it really? Yeah. But what do you think they're going to do? They got to make money somehow, right? See, I'm looking at both sides. You can say what you will about the community, but you can say what you will about the corporation too, both sides. As a community, yeah, you know what? Everything, they want more money. They want to scratch people's eye out. Yes, I get it. They're a corporation. That's what they do. What do you think it's going to happen? As players, as a consumer, as a DM, as a consumer, you say, well, the book is kind of expensive, so I think I'm going to stick with what I have. There's nothing wrong with that, right? Who said you have to pay all those prices? No, you don't. It's you, the consumer, that has control. That's what you do. If you don't want to put money in Beyond, then don't do it. Simple as pie. Don't do it. Don't run the game then. Don't play the game then. Don't put money to give to Hasbro and WotC. Don't do it. But it's up to you as a consumer to do it or don't do it. I do it because I love D&D. I have D&D Beyond. I have a membership on Beyond. I use it's a tool. I use it for my game. I have a crap load of characters I have on there. I have made homebrew items. They're a lot of fun. But I'm no longer using Beyond's tool for creation. I'm making my own. That's just a decision I made for myself. Is it faster? Hell yeah. Click, drop, boom. People have to understand, and fans, the community has to understand. You guys have to understand, brothers and sisters, have to understand that the gaming community is strong. It's 100% strong. We can fight against anything, 100%. And the only way to do this is to stop the press and think about what you're going to do. Don't pour hundreds and hundreds of dollars if you're not going to utilize those tools. Don't pour all that money if you're going to say, well, I can't afford it. What can I do? Then don't use it. Don't use it. Play a live game, pen and paper. Nothing wrong with that. If you want to put some earphones on or have a webcam and talk to somebody around the world, you can do that too. Nobody's stopping you. But don't go ahead and complain to the corporation. And you can complain, but I'm just saying don't do it, because what's going to happen is you know what they're going to do. You know that they're known to do that. It's a corporation. It's going to want money. It's like a mimic. You go to the chest opens up, there's a tongue that comes out, the teeth, it's a mimic, it's gonna bite you in the arm. What are you gonna do? Give the mimic your other arm? No. You have to, and I say have to, not do those things. Yeah, they're gonna take money from you. What do you think's gonna happen? It's all known. It's not hard You don't need to be an Einstein or an idiot. You know what they're going to do, so don't feed into the money. Don't feed into the bullshit. You know what you do? You stay at home. Don't go buy that book then. Period. There's nothing wrong with that. So, after everything is said and done, where am I going to go with the game? What am I going to do? For the huge Dungeons and Dragons fans, what am I going to do? Then what? You know what you do? You sit and you look at all your options and you say, okay, well, if WotC, Hasbro, if they're going to go ahead and raise all their prices, then I'm going to go to buy Ben Milton's game, or I'm going to go to play Morkborg, or I'm going to go ahead and play all those other games. You can do that too as a consumer. It's not hard. You can go online and look it up, and look up those wonderful games that they have online. You can do that. It's very simple. Or still play D&D. There's nothing wrong with that too. You are a consumer. You have the right to look up your options. Now, if you have the opportunity to say, well, what am I doing here now? What am I doing here now? I'm telling you guys what to do. No, I'm not. I'm just giving you guys advice on what to do. You guys can follow my advice or don't follow my advice. But understand one thing, that when it comes to finances, if you don't have the money to purchase these books, then don't buy them. If you don't like the content in those books, then don't feed into the bullshit, right? If you think it's bullshit, if you don't like it, don't get it. That's just the way it works. It's that easy. The corporation is still going to feed like the mimic. It's going to continue trying to get his next victim. It's going to look like a chest, a beautiful chest, and you're going to go right up to it. It's going to open up and take off your arm. It's up to you to make a change. Don't just sit here and look dumb and say, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I want the new D&D version. Well, don't buy it if you don't like it. That's just it. It's that simple. Now, we talked about the big corporation. We talked about purchasing items on D&D Beyond. We talked about books and so forth, source books and so forth. And we talked about VTT, virtual reality, gameplay versus live play briefly, and I mixed it in with the whole corporation thing. I wanted to bring that up because it's important to me, and I know it's important to you, because we're all people and we're all gaming under the same umbrella of the gaming community, and there's a lot of love with that. Again, I've been gaming for a long time, and let me tell you, we have gone through hella many books, and now if you have this much and a digital of this much, there's nothing wrong with that. That's all I'm saying. Anyways, I want to say another topic for tonight. That's all negatives. Talk about something fun. Now, we talked about all that negative stuff. What about in your games? What if you are doing an introduction? And I want to say this briefly because the last game, episode 4, I did my introduction. For some reason, I was a little nervous. I don't know why, I just was. And I was reading off what I wrote, and my left hand was shaking. And I don't know why it was, but it just was. And I was reading the intro, and I did it. Apparently, it was okay. I don't know. It's just one of those things. I was a little nervous. I don't know why I was, but it just happened. Now, have you ever, as a DM, did an intro that didn't go so well or didn't come across well, let me know here in the comments section, please. Because, you know, sometimes it's just one of those things. You know, it shit happens. You're playing a game and you're into your DM and you're thinking about 100 miles per hour, what's going to happen on this side or that side of the table, and you're reading into the story, and all of a sudden you have a couple things happening. You know, what's going on here? I mean, what is your main goal in that intro? Is it to intensify? Is it to retell a tale of your story? Is it give people a synopsis, the audience a synopsis of what's going on? There's nothing wrong with that. What are your tactics or the way you set up as DM? What I do here, Creatures of the Realm and DM Talk, is unscripted. I talk to you from here, and I give you my own opinion from here on the fly. There's no teleprompter, nothing like that. It's all me. My main motto: play a role, real people, real gamers. You got a real person right here, and I'm going to tell you the truth 100%. I'm not going to lie to you. I want to tell you how I feel about it. I want to tell you how I feel about things, and I want to tell you how to run the game, how to best to run a game. And those are my advice to you in streaming land. Again, in an intro, you know, I was a little nervous going to the intro last episode. I don't know why, it just was. And like I said, it does happen in a game. It happens to everybody. You could be running a game for a year and a half, 2 years, 3 years, and one day you get the shakes, you're like nervous, and you do. It does happen to the best of us. It happens, and you know what? It's one hell of an experience, because after that, everything went boom, 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 ran the game. Now, in your game, what do you do if players, and it coming from a DM, they just change things completely? I know I've said this before, we talked about this before, but I mean change things to the point where you are lost of words. Have you ever had that experience? I have multiple times. Not with this particular group that I have, but with my old group, Jim, Amanda, Luke, and the late Dan Meyer, Eric Myford, and so forth, all the guys. You know, they have put me through hell in my games. What I mean by that is, if you are in a situation in your game where you have your big bad, and then you have the good guys, the players, are confronting you, and they do something off the wall. What do I mean by that? It could be anything. It could be, well, you wanted them to enter the warehouse, but they didn't go into the warehouse. Where do they go? They decided to go to the bar. They decided to just hang out. And I've said this in previous episodes. They were going to do that, but I did not say this. What if they changed the dynamic of your story so much that the rest of the game is unwritten and it's all improv? The whole game. You have to improvise because they changed it so much. What if you had an old man that had a silver ring in his pocket, and they have to find him. And as they traverse the realm to find this old man, with his knowledge, they could help save the realm from the ancient red dragon. Let's say that's a storyline. And let's say they say, fuck it, I'm just not going to go and fight anymore. I'm going to do something different. I'm going to go take over the town. I'm going to go ahead and do this. What if that happens? I'm going to kill another player. What if that happened? What do you do now? Do you sit and just go, hang on, let me look in my pages of bullshit. Page 1, bullshit. Page 2, bullshit. What am I going to do? Boom, boom, boom. I'm going to look. And I hand it to him. And the story completely sucks. And the story falls apart. It falls apart because and I said it before, there's nothing wrong with improvising. But when you have to improvise so much to the point of no return, the players are going to catch on, and when they do, they're going to rip you to shreds. That story is going to be mishmash. You might as well just stop right there and say, hey guys, I'm going home because you guys just put me in a corner and beat the hell out of me a whole bunch of times. No, what I mean is that they're going to take the story and they're going to walk all over you. So how do you do it? How do you bring those players to come to find that character in your game? You know what you do? Hooks. Plant the seed. There's a trail. A trail. Here's an example. The last game, the tracker, the ranger, played by Christian, he plays Alexander. He noticed there was orc tracks. In the beginning of episode 1, I mentioned the orcs were fighting the pirates, and they went into the cave to following the group of orphans. Now, in that story, in my games, the bad guy continues plotting. They don't just sit there and say, hey, I'm going to wait for you. No, they move on. So as the players are moving, the orcs were behind them, but they went off into a different cave, a different tunnel. So as they went on and adventured, traversed in one area of the cave, the orcs are in another area, they crossed paths, and then the ranger realized that where they were going, the orcs are going. So that's what I mean with hooks. Somehow you got to bring everything together to make a story flow. You have your beginning, middle, and end, and that doesn't change. So now there's horror. They get scared because the orcs are formidable opponents. They're entering an unknown area. They're in a dark cave, catacombs, the Underdark. So there is a lot going on here. What do you do? If they would have controlled the narrative, they would have not continued. They would have waited. They would have done their own thing. They wouldn't have cared about the complete plot. But now, that means that the players you have are actually jerks when they start turning around on purpose. And you could tell as a DM when you have players that don't give a shit. You could tell. It's something you learn innately. It's very easy. You can tell in the way they role play. The way I DM is, just to give you what I do, is I feed off my players. I give them a role-playing moment. That moment, they give me the energy, I give them the energy. That we feed off each other. So if my group, if they get intense role-playing, I'm going to get intense. So if the game intensifies action-wise, I'm going to get in there. It's just the way I am. But if I have a player who's not interested, who just kind of goes, huh? And then I can understand if you're a new player, that's fine. But if you have a player who doesn't care, who just wants to go off into wherever and don't give a shit, then I could pick up on that. It's very easy. An experienced DM will pick up on that. And how do you do that? How do you handle that player? Constant action. No, just kidding. No, you put him in a situation that he or she will role play. Role play, a little bit of combat, some energy. They'll get back. Everybody, no matter how mean they are, will recognize that, hey, maybe I can't be doing this. The other guys are having fun. Well, I'm going to have fun. So why not do it? Those are the things that you have to look at. Having fun. Having fun is the number one thing. If you don't have fun, nobody else is going to have fun. And I know I mentioned the first half of the show about WotC, Hasbro, and the corporation and the community and so forth. But that encompasses role playing in general, because if it happens with Hasbro and WotC, it'll happen with other companies as well. You just cannot just pinpoint at one. You got to look at everything. But continue what we're talking about. We're talking about very simple. What do you do if a party goes off on tangents? Very simple. Story hooks. Bring them in. That's what you do. It's simple as an experienced DM. It's not so simple for an inexperienced DM, because players will try to run you over. They will. And the only way to control that narrative back to your side is, here's an example. A friend of my Dom and a player, he's playing Paladin. He wants to be an Oathbreaker. Well, in the beginning of the game, he created a lawful good Paladin. Then he played a little bit snarky. It started getting a little snarky and so forth through episode 2. I texted him and I said, hey, dude, in your background, you had lawful good. Why are you being a little snarky and stuff like that? It's okay for a paladin to be a little snarky, but he was going a step further. So he told me, he says, I just want to be an Oathbreaker. And I'm like, okay, we can work that out. We can do it accordingly and so forth, but don't put in your background lawful good, because what happened was in session 0, we were all having, as player and DM, hey, I'm going to write down what I want to be, and then this is the class I'm going to pick. I want to be a good guy. All right, you're a good guy. So in when I'm writing, I'm having this imagery of his character, being good and all that. But if he wants to fall from the light into darkness, then you need to tell me in the beginning. That way I could start doing that. But he did it throughout the campaign, which is fine. But next time I would like to know in advance what you're doing. And that's what I mean with players going off on their own. And that's what he did. He went off on his own. So he went ahead, and in the last episode, the god Fenrir kind of spoke to him and said, hey, you have to kill this kid. And he said, no, I'm not going to do it. He played the good paladin. And that was that force. So then he wanted to do it his way. So he did later. He tried. He attempted. And the whole point of that scenario was Fenrir still got what he wanted. It didn't matter how you did it, is he still got what he wanted. It wasn't the act. It wasn't the act, but it was that he went and decided on his own that he was going to do it. It's that free will that changed the whole narrative back to me. And that's how I do it. Because if a player thinks that they have a drop on me and I'm going to control the whole narrative, what I do for plot purposes is I say, okay, you can. Go ahead and do it. Giving the player free will is the number one thing. And using that free will against them, turning it around story-wise is a great thing. Because again, it's not DM against player. It's just showing that, hey, look, there's consequences in what you're doing. So you're a good paladin. We're going to tell the story of how you fell, but we're going to tell the story. And that's what I did. I'm telling a story of how paladin fell from the paladin to an oathbreaker and so forth. So we're going to see what happens in next episode. And hopefully it goes well. And like I said, as a DM, you could write how you want, but if it doesn't go your way, that's because players have their own mind. And there's nothing wrong. In my world, everybody has free will. Controlling them is something I do not want to do. But like I just said, that narrative I just spoke about and turned it around, that's all for plot. But I didn't do it as a control device. I did it, you did it as a player, and they chose to go that path. Never, ever, ever railroad to the point where you're going to control the whole narrative and change it up. No, I changed the narrative back to me when the player did it on his own. And he didn't even know, because I did it through role-playing. Oh, you're going to do it? Oh, you're not going to do it. You're not going to kill that girl. Oh, really? You are? Oh, no, I'm not. You will. Trust me, you will. Oh, no, I'm not. Oh, yes, I am. No, I'm not. Yes, I am. Oh, I'm going to do it anyway. See what I mean? So it all depends on in what you do as a DM. When players take over the whole narrative in your whole campaign and they do it just for ill will purposes, not good. Try to nip that in the butt. And what I mean is, sometimes they get excited, sometimes they want to have fun on their own thing, and my game is an open world completely. There is an underlying story. There is a story, and they go from point A to point B, and they move on. I have my little checkpoints in my head where they're at in the story, the beginning, middle, or end. Like I said, that doesn't change. But they also have to understand that there is a main story here. And as they go out and do their thing, they're also doing the story. So they're also following suit. And when you do that, it really, really changes everything. And people have fun. Your players have fun, you have fun. And like I said before, ultimately, everyone has fun. Now, let me check my levels one more time. Everything's good. Now, what do I mean by having fun? Well, the role-playing is good. Like I said before, I feed off my players feed off of me. The energy is good. Good. That's 2. 3, your table is in a good flow. The combat's flowing good, the role-playing's flowing good, all that is good. 4, and probably the most important, I said this and I stress this, have fun. everybody's having fun. If the DM screws up on a rule or whatnot, we're all human. We all get nervous. We all mess up. We're all thinking, oh, I got this written. They went this. It happens. Again, and I'm going to say this, my games, real people, real gamers. I stream live. We have fun. And those moments are very, are unedited. They're right there. If somebody says, oh shit, you're going to hear it. Either way, that's all I got for you tonight. It's a very open-ended show. We'll have a little bit more structure next episode. But like I said, I'm unscripted. So I'm not scripted. So today, 12:43 a.m., 8 p.m. Central. Tonight, 8 p.m. Playerole, Drow City, episode 5. 5 episodes. 5 episodes in the season 2, folks. That's a big event. Big, 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 big. Join us. Subscribe, like. Let us know. Let me know. Let the guys know on Discord. Look me up at Discord, Easy Zone. On Discord, look me up. Send me a friend request. I'll do that. I'll put you up on the Playerole chat group and go from there. Tell us what you think. We have a lot of guys that are, very cool. They can talk to you as well. Anyways, I will see you next week. DM Talk and Creatures of the Realm. But tomorrow, check us out. All right. Good night, guys.